Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is your girl Brandy, and as you can tell by the title of this video, we are still continuing this series where I am reading books that I've been pushing off. And this one is a book that I actually pulled from my TBR jar to read in the month of January, and it is A Thousand Boy Kisses. I'm finally getting ready to read this after pushing it off since April of 2024. And I've been pushing it off because everybody says it's going to make you cry. Everybody says it's going to make you cry, and I just don't know. Because this is a YA novel, and I want to know what it is about this YA novel that is breaking mature adults' heart and making them cry while reading this. Now, I think this has been listed everywhere as like a BOOKTok fave. I don't know if I'm really excited, but I'm anxious to see what it is that's made everybody cry. So the synopsis says, one boy, one girl, a bond that is forged in an instant and cherished for a decade. A bond that neither time nor distance can break, a bond that will last forever, or so they believe. I don't know. I think this is perfect to be reading right now because it is the end of January and we're pushing into February, which is Hallmark month. And so let's see. We are going to see what the fuss is about. Okay, y'all, let's do a quick update before I get knee deep into this book. Y'all know how I do. So I'm 23% in, and first thoughts. At my big grown age, I'm not the targeted audience for this book. So let's start there. I am not the targeted audience for this book, and I know that, okay? So being that you and I both know I'm not the targeted audience for this YA book. Keep that in mind when I talk about what I'm talking about. Okay? So because I'm not the targeted audience and I've already picked up on the subject matter of this book, I'm looking at it from a quote-unquote research standpoint. Okay? I'm a mom of a daughter. I have a teenage daughter and I am a mom. She has not started dating yet, okay? So we have Ruin and Poppy that met when they were 5 years old. During that time, Ruin was relocating from Norway with his parents. His dad had a work assignment which made him transfer to Georgia. Okay, Ruin was upset. He was big mad, okay? He was pissed off at his mama and daddy for making him move to Georgia. Pissed, okay? Why do we have to move here? Dad's like, look, I'm following the bag. I'm chasing the bag. Wherever the bag say I gotta go, I gotta go. With this company, I don't have a choice. If they tell me I'm needed in one place, that's where we gotta go. So I don't have a choice. So he's upset. That's when he meets Poppy. Poppy is his next door neighbor. Have y'all seen Love and Basketball? You know how Monica and old dude windows was literally right next to each other? That's how close their houses was. That's how Ruin and Poppy's houses is, okay? Keep that in mind. So the jar on the cover of the book. The jar, okay? See the jar? Okay. Something happens to Poppy, and her grandmother gives her this jar. Okay? In this jar is 1,000 pink pieces of paper. And she is to go on an adventure. And her adventure is to kiss a boy, any boy, multiple boys, one boy, collect 1,000 kisses from boys, and each kiss that you just love, like the best kiss ever, not just pecks and stuff, write it down on one of these pieces of paper and put it in this jar. And when you get old, talk to your grandkids or your kids about all of the kisses that you got from these boys that you put in this jar. Her and Ruin, like, the time jumps to when they're like teenagers and they are officially boyfriend and girlfriend. Ruin is now over the fact that they now live in Georgia. They've been in Georgia for some years now. He's over that. Now he is highly obsessed with Poppy. Obsessed. Okay? It's sick how obsessed he is. Now, this is where the parenting instinct kicks in, because when I was reading this on last night, I was also talking to my daughter about it. And I told her, you know, when you start dating, you don't want to date the guy that is obsessed with you, okay? Because that obsession can be good or bad. And please don't be obsessed with me. A person, guy or girl, that is obsessed with you will do anything to get and keep you. Anything, okay? And they can even harm you. And so that's the vibe that I'm picking up from Ruin about Poppy, because he is obsessed with her. Now, she told him about this jar, which I think is a horrible idea. And the reason why I think it's a horrible idea is because something happens, okay? Something happens, and I don't want to really spoil it. I feel like I want to make this a spoiler vlog, but I don't really know. I'm going to spoil right here, so if you don't want to see the spoilers, just keep going until I take this little spoiler sign off. He ended up having to move again, right? He has to move again. And what freaks me out is the fact that she is still going to be collecting these kisses, right? And putting them in these jars. So because he's obsessed with her, if he ever comes back to Georgia and they link back up and he find out she didn't kiss some other boys, he gonna go batshit crazy. He just is. Okay, I'm done with the spoiler. So yes, he is very obsessed with her, and I don't like it. So at this point, I know I'm reading this to get this off my shelf. I'm reading this because I want to see if I'm going to cry. But now I'm reading this to see if what I think is going to happen is going to happen. Because I'm looking at this relationship from an adult standpoint, and we think we know how all the relationships go, and we really don't. But from experience and just seeing other people when I grew up, I know how these relationships go. So I'm just trying to see if what I think is going to happen is going to happen. I also still want to see if I'm going to cry too, because who knows. So yeah, that's my update. When I have another one, I'll be back. I am about 40% in. I don't know what page that is, because of course I'm reading it from my Kindle, from Kenny. I named my Kindle Kenny. That's her name. I actually need to give Kenny a new outfit, but I am 41% in, and I'm trying to, I see why people cried, right? I see it now. I'm there. I see why people cried while reading the book. I ain't there. Have I cried? No. Is it very emotional or sad? Yes, it's very sad. It's very emotional. You know, sometimes I don't cry about sad things immediately. Sometimes I have to just let stuff settle in before it really impacts me. That's in real life. I'm not sure about books yet. Usually with my experience is while reading a book, if something appears sad or made me emotional or made me feel some type of way, I usually cry immediately, but I didn't with this. And I think it's because the way I am reading it. The way I'm reading it and from which standpoint I'm trying to interpret what is going on. Like I already told you guys, I'm reading it from a mama standpoint. And now with knowing what I know, I think I'm about to change. I'm about to change that. I'm not going to be reading the rest of the, 59% from a mama standpoint. Now I'm going to try to read it from a understanding standpoint, because where I thought this story was going, it's not, and that's for the best. That's very good. However, characters still have the opportunity in time, 50% worth of time, to flip the script on me. So we shall see. If the story continues to go the way that it is going and it's not doing what I thought it would do, then at the end I will tell you guys where I thought this book was gonna go. But of course, if it goes that route, then I'm not gonna mention it at all, because then it will be like a spoiler. But so far, I don't know if I really talked about the main characters, like as far as relocating. I guess it was already in the synopsis. So we have Ruin, who has a father that relocates. And I know I said that in the last clip, but I don't remember if I made this a spoiler or not. And when I thought about it, I'm not sure it's really a spoiler. So his dad's job requires him to move around a lot. So with that, him and his family moved to Georgia, and they stayed in Georgia for quite a long time. Like, more than 5 years. They were in Georgia more than 5 years. His dad's job said, hey, we need you guys to go back to, is it called Oslo? Norway? Is it Norway? But wherever they came from the beginning, they are going back. And so his dad had to break the news to him, because when they originally moved to Georgia, he was very upset about the move. He was 5 years old, very upset about the move, didn't want to move, hated the move. And that part there, I could feel him on that, because when I had to relocate from California to Tennessee, when my parents told me, I was heartbroken. And when you grow up, when you are born and raised somewhere and you've spent majority of your life somewhere, and then now you have to up and relocate, it's not easy. It's not easy. I think it will be easier as an adult because you understand the logistics of everything better. But when you are still like a teenager, a younger adult, you don't really understand like why we gotta move, why we gotta pick up and move, right? I don't want to leave my family. I don't want to leave my friends. For me, I didn't want to leave my little job I had, my best friends. I had a little boyfriend. I didn't want to leave, right? Because I felt like my life was starting to be established. When at that point, it really wasn't. Because now, at the big age I'm in now, I totally understand. But the age I was back then, I didn't get it. Now, did I hate my parents for it? No. Was I super sad about it? Yes. It took me a while to get over the fact that I had to leave California and come to Tennessee. It took me a long time to get over that. Like, my anniversary that just passed in December, I was in my feelings about it. Like, it's taken me a long time, and during that anniversary time, I'm very, very sad about it. So I can understand Ruin being upset at the fact that he had to relocate. At 5 years old, I don't know, but at the teenage age he is now, and having to leave Georgia and go back after he got settled in Georgia, met a girl, she became his best friend, blah, blah, blah. The relationship started to be established and stuff like that. Now I have to get up and leave. He was like, I don't know about that. I'm upset. And when I say this young man acted out, he acted out, okay? So when he ups and relocates, they are still communicating. Him and Poppy are still communicating the best way possible. Now, Poppy cut all communication with him, and it went downhill from there. Now we get to figure out why Poppy cut communication with him, and that's where I could see where the girls was crying. Okay, so now we are navigating through him being back in Georgia because his dad's job allowed them to move back to Georgia, and now we are navigating through him rekindling what he used to have with Poppy, and them pretty much getting to know each other all over again because they're teenagers now. They didn't talk for a minute, and he didn't know why, and she's telling him why. So now they are learning how to navigate after he found out why she lost all contact with him. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So far, I mean, it's pretty cool. The chapters are long. Like the last chapter I read, and I started it last night, the chapter was 52 minutes. What was that, chapter 5? It was 52-minute long, and I had already been reading for 30 minutes before I even touched that chapter, because the previous chapters had been like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay, cool, we can keep up with this. But then the chapter I got to, I think it was like chapter 5, it was 52 minutes. Child, I fell asleep and I still had 15 minutes left to go. So I picked it up this morning and I'm still reading it now. So yeah, that's my update for now. Like I said, I'm going to take away my hard little, I'm going to read this like a mama and just take the book for what it is, because I also did chat with some people over on my Bookstagram page who have read this, and, you know, we all take in books differently, but I could totally understand why people were so emotional about this one. So I'm going to continue to read it, and when I have another bookish update, I'll come chat with you guys. I don't know, y'all. This book is it's starting to become annoying. Like, the chapters are extremely long for no reason. I'm 50% in on chapter 10, and this chapter says it's 58 minutes in the chapter. And I'm starting to like skim through because it's a lot of description and nothing really happening. Like on chapter 9, the chapter was however long I just showed y'all, and they just went on a date. That's all. Like, they describe when the author describes when Poppy is getting ready for the date with her sisters in that situation. Okay, cool, that was good. And then she describes them heading to their destination, and then she describes them at their destination, and I just feel like she used so many words, so many filler words to describe what is going on after you've already told us what was going on. They're at a crawfish restaurant, they're having a crawfish boil, they are reminiscing off of the time they shared with each other before they separated for the couple of years. But the chapter didn't have to be an hour. It was a lot of just descriptive words, that's all. Like, there was nothing really going on, so I was just skimming through the chapter to get to really nothing. It was annoying. And this next chapter is 58 minutes, and I don't want to fall into a reading slump. So I'm about to pause on this book, and I'm about to pick up another book that's not going to be featured in this video. And then when I pick this book back up, then I will come back and chat with you guys. But so far, I don't really like talking about ratings, but if you guys remember my rating scale, this is giving like a 3-star, and it's kind of like giving, I'm not picking up book number 2. Like, I'm not even interested enough right now, 50% in, to pick up a book number 2. And I feel like I'm just reading to see how the story is going to end, and I'm really reading to see if there's more reason to why the girls was crying on this book besides the reason I was already given. Like, what else happens? Because this book is just drawn out. I feel like it could have been a whole lot shorter than what it is. We could have very well been given short chapters. So yeah, I'm about to pause on this, and the next clip will be when I pick the book back up again and continue reading, because I have 50% left. I'm going to finish it because, like I said, I'm interested in knowing how it's going to end, but it's doing too much for me. It's just doing too much for me. Well, y'all, I tried, right? I tried. So I don't know how many days later this is, but I requested the audiobook for 1,000 Boy Kisses on Libby, and it finally came available to me today, right before I got off work. So I requested it at 10 chapters in. That was about 50% into the book, right? And I kid you guys not. Let me see if I could pull up the picture on my iPad. How long this freaking chapter was on the audio, because y'all know I requested it via audio because I just didn't want to read these long chapters. Let me see if I can pull up the photo, because I did a screenshot of how long this chapter was. So anyway, I'm trying to pull it up. But anyway, I went ahead and Googled how did the book end. And it ended the way I thought it would end after I changed my mind about how I was going to read the book. So I can't really, because I didn't read details. Well, that's a lie. I'm not going to say because I didn't read details, I cannot say that the story ended up being the way that I thought it was going to be, but I didn't finish the book, so I don't know if it continued. Because when I got to chapter 10 via the audiobook, y'all, I had listened to an hour of the audiobook. Tell me why it still had 74 minutes left in the chapter. No. I had listened to 60 minutes of the chapter. When I looked down at chapter 10, it still had 50 something minutes. I think it was like 54 minutes left in the chapter. And that's when I had to DNF it, because honestly, no. like I already told you guys, the author seemed like she was just writing with a lot of filler words. She was being very descriptive. Again, in chapter 10, they had gone on a date, and the way she was just describing every single thing that they were doing, how they were driving to the date, what they did when they arrived, how he was helping her get stuff out the car. Like, it was given I have a word count to me, and I couldn't do it. And the chapters are so long. I'm trying to see how many pages. Yeah, I was trying to see how many pages chapter 9 was just going and going and going and going and going. And now I'm flipping through chapter 10 started on page 154 and it ended on 188. I can't do it. And then, you know what? I don't even care. So, hold on. Here go my picture. It finally loaded. Okay. When I looked down, I was at 56% of the book, still on chapter 10. I listened to 48 minutes, and I still had 62 minutes left in chapter 10. 62. And for it, no. And it definitely ended the way I thought it would end after changing up my perspective. The boy did start getting exactly how I thought he would start getting. He started getting really disgusting. He did. And I get why he was being disgusting, but it was given very overprotective, very obsessive. It was given crazy. It was given crazy, and I knew that that was going to be the case, especially how this book, the main plot of the book, I knew that was going to be the case. So yeah, I had to go ahead and DNF it at 56%. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I really did. I really had a feeling, because I would read a book with a long chapter if the chapter is good, if the book is juicy good, right? And I know this book is not for me. It's a YA novel. My final thought is, the way this book is written is how I think people who read like mostly thrillers or mostly fantasy, and they be like, nah, I'm good on romance. This book is written in a way that I think they think all romance is written. Very mushy, very long, very extra, very detailed, very, yeah. The way this book is written is how I think people who read other genres outside of romance and be like, nah, I'm good, I think they think all romance is like this. Absolutely not. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. I'm collecting my books this year, so that I could do a height check on my books at the end of this year. So I actually have a separate shelf. This little small shelf right here is where I've been putting, ooh, I can never do it right, but this small shelf right here is where I've been putting all of the books that I finished as I finished them. I'm gonna save this one just in case I want to mention it or talk about it at the end of the year, but it's definitely getting donated. It's going in a donate pile. I might not even make it to the end of the year with it, because I still have a donate pile that I need to just go ahead and get rid of so I can make space for other books. But yes, DNF 56%. I see why the girls cried, but I think I went in with the whole mindset of, I'm not gonna cry over this foolishness. So yeah, now I actually need to pull from my TBR jar. So once I pull from my TBR jar to see what my next read will be in this video, I will be back.